The grey-eyed morn smiles on the frowning night, checkering the eastern clouds with streaks of light. And flecked darkness like a drunkard reels from forth day's path and Titan's fiery wheels. Now, ere the sun advance his burning eye, the day to cheer and night's dank dew to dry, I must upfill this osier cage of ours with baleful weeds and precious juiced flowers. The earth that's nature's mother is her tomb. What is her burying grave, that is her womb. And from her womb, children of diverse kind, we, sucking on her natural bosom, find. Many, for many virtues excellent, none but for some, yet all different. Oh, mickle is the powerful grace that lies in herbs, plants, stones, and their true qualities. For naught so vile that on the earth doth live, but to the earth some special good doth give. Nor aught so good, but strained from that fair use, revolts from true birth, stumbling on abuse. Virtue itself turns vice, being misapplied, and vice sometimes by action dignified. Within the infant rind of this small flower, poison hath residence and medicine power. For this, being smelt, with that part cheers each part, being tasted, stays all senses with the heart. Two such opposed kings encamp them still in men, as well as plants, grace and rude will. And where the worser is predominant, full soon the canker death eats up that plant. Holy Saint Francis, what a change is here! Is Rosaline, whom thou didst love so dear, so soon forsaken? Young men's love then lies not truly in their hearts, but in their eyes. Jesu Maria! What a deal of brine hath washed thy sallow cheeks for Rosaline? How much salt water thrown away in waste to season love that of it doth not taste? The sun not yet thy sighs from heaven clears, thy old groans ring yet in my ancient ears. Lo, here! Upon thy cheek the stain doth sit of an old tear that is not washed off yet. If ere thou wast thyself and these woes thine, thou and these woes were all for Rosaline. And hast thou changed? Pronounce this sentence then. Women may fall when there's no strength in men. Hold thy desperate hands! Art thou a man? Thy form cries out thou art. Thy tears are womanish. Thy wild acts denote the unreasonable fury of a beast. Unseemly woman in a seeming man, or ill-beseeming beast in seeming both. Thou hast amazed me. By my holy order, I thought thy disposition better tempered. Hast thou slain Tybalt? Wilt thou slay thyself? And slay thy lady too, that lives in thee by doing damned hate upon thyself? Why railst thou on thy birth, the heaven and earth? Since birth and heaven and earth all three do meet in thee at once, which thou at once wouldst lose. Fie, fie! Thou shamest thy shape, thy love, thy wit, which like a usurer aboundst in all, and usest none, in that true use indeed which should bedeck thy shape, thy love, thy wit. Thy noble shape is but a form of wax, digressing from the valor of a man. Thy dear love, sworn but hollow perjury, killing that love which thou hast vowed to cherish. Thy wit, that ornament to shape in love, misshapen in the conduct of them both, like powder in a skilless soldier's flask, is set afire by thine own ignorance, thou dismembered with thine own defense. What? Rouse thee, man. Thy Juliet's alive, for whose dear sake thou wast but lately dead. There art thou happy. Tybalt would kill thee, but thou slewest Tybalt. There art thou happy too. The law that threatened death becomes thy friend and turns to exile. There art thou happy. A pack of blessings light upon thy back. Happiness courts thee in her best array. But, like a misbehaved and sullen wench, thou pout'st upon thy fortune and thy love. Take heed, for such die miserable. Go, get thee to thy love as was decreed. Send her chamber hence and comfort her. But look thou stay not till the watch be set, for then thou canst not pass to Mantua, where thou shalt live till we can find a time to blaze your marriage, reconcile your friends, beg pardon of the prince, and call thee back with 20,000 times more joy than thou wentst forth in lamentation. Go before, nurse. Commend me to thy lady. Bid her hasten all the house to bed, which heavy sorrow makes them apt unto. Romeo is coming. Hold then. Go home, be merry, give consent to marry Paris. A Wednesday is tomorrow night. Look that thou lie alone. Let not thy nurse lie with thee in thy chamber. Take thou this vial. Being then in bed, and this distilled liquor drink thou off, when presently through all thy veins shall run a cold and drowsy humour. For no pulse shall keep his native progress but surcease. No warmth, no breath shall testify thou livest. The roses in thy lips and cheeks shall fade to paly ashes. Thy eyes' windows fall like death when he shuts up the day of life. Each part, deprived of supple government, shall stiff and stark and cold appear like death. And in this borrowed likeness of shrunk death thou shalt continue 42 hours, and then awake as from a pleasant sleep. Now, when the bridegroom in the morning comes to rouse thee from thy bed, there art thou dead. Then, as the manner of our country is, in thy best robes uncovered on the bier, thou shalt be borne to that same ancient vault where all the kindred of the Caplets lie. In the meantime, against thou shalt awake, shall Romeo by my letters know our drift, and hither shall he come, and he and I will watch thy waking, and that very night shall Romeo bear thee hence to Mantua. And this shall free thee from this present shame, if no inconstant toy nor womanish fear abate thy valor in the acting it. Peace, ho, for shame. Confusion's cure lives not in these confusions. Heaven and yourself had part in this fair maid. Now heaven hath all, and all the better is it for the maid. Your part in her you could not keep from death, but heaven keeps his part in eternal life. The most you sought was her promotion, for 'twas your heaven she should be advanced. And weep ye now, seeing she is advanced above the clouds, as high as heaven itself. Oh, in this love you love your child so ill, that you run mad, seeing that she is well. She's not well married that lives married long, but she's best married that dies married young. Dry up your tears, and stick your rosemary in this fair corpse, and as the custom is, in all her best array, bear her to church. For though fond nature bids us all lament, yet nature's tears are reason's merriment. I will be brief, for my short date of breath is not so long as is a tedious tale. Romeo, there dead, was husband to that Juliet, and she, there dead, that Romeo's faithful wife. I married them, and their stolen marriage day was Tybalt's doomsday, whose untimely death banished the new-made bridegroom from the city, for whom, and not for Tybalt, Juliet pined. You, to remove this siege of grief from her, betrothed and would have married her perforce to county Paris. Then comes she to me, and with wild looks bid me devise some mean to rid her from this second marriage, or in my cell there would she kill herself. Then gave I her, so tutored by my art, a sleeping potion, which so took effect as I intended, for it wrought on her the form of death. Meantime I writ to Romeo that he should hither come as this dire night, to help to take her from her borrowed grave, being the time the potion's force should cease. But he which bore my letter, Friar John, was stayed by accident, and yesternight returned my letter back. Then all alone, at the prefixed hour of her waking, came I to take her from her kindred's vault, meaning to keep her closely at my cell till I conveniently could send to Romeo. But when I came, some minute ere the time of her awaking, here untimely lay the noble Paris and true Romeo dead. She wakes, and I entreated her come forth and bear this work of heaven with patience. But then a noise did scare me from the tomb, and she too desperate would not go with me, but as it seems did violence on herself. All this I know, and to the marriage her nurse is privy. And if aught in this miscarried by my fault, let my old life be sacrificed some hour before his time unto the rigor of severest law.